around this time, we will be counting our hundreds of thousands of votes in this election. 2 Mondays from now, around this time, we will already know that we have won the Port of Spain Corporation, that we have won the San Juan Lavantel Corporation, that we have won the Tunapuna Piaco Corporation, that we have won the Siparia Corporation, that we have won the Chaguanas Corporation, the Sangre Grande Corporation, that we have won nearly all the corporations in Trinidad and Tobago, ladies and gentlemen. We might give them Pinal de Bay. We might give them Tucuva, Tabaqui, Talparo. But ladies and gentlemen, it is only the PNM that is fielding 137 candidates in this election, because it is only the PNM that is a true political party in Trinidad and Tobago. It is only the PNM that has survived 60 years, and we will survive 60 more and 60 more and 60 more, because the PNM is the only true political party in Trinidad and Tobago. Madam Chairman, thank you for your kind welcome. I want to recognize my cabinet colleagues and my colleagues in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. But more importantly, I want to recognize you, the members of the People's National Movement, who continue to support us and keep us at the top of the political game in Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you very kindly. I also want to take this opportunity to recognize our standard bearers in the San Juan Lavantel Corporation: Kwesi Antoine, Lyndon Lara, Raphael John, Adana Griffith Gordon, Eldon Coker, and so many more, ladies and gentlemen. I want to recognize those who are our standard bearers for Tunapuna Piaco: Marcia Chanpak, Paul Leacock, Stephen Watley, Josiah Austin, I know it's a Bible name, and so many others, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here as the winners already. And we are also here because local government reform for the PNM and for the people of Trinidad and Tobago is a reality. We have said to you for the last few months that it is our vision, as it is our vision to make Trinidad and Tobago a developed country, that it is our vision to ensure that local government reform becomes a reality. And ladies and gentlemen, this local government election is no different from any other election that we have fought. And this local government, we are fighting again on a special platform of reform for Trinidad and Tobago. Tonight, it is about reform that is already underway. Ours is the decision through Vision 2030 and through local government reform to make our democracy more participatory. Because you, the people, have told us that you want to see reform in Trinidad and Tobago. You who make up the citizenry have told us that reform is important. You have told us simply that you want to see the empowerment of regional corporations with greater autonomy, with the ability to make decisions faster, the ability to make decisions more efficiently, and more mindful of the wider implications of those decisions on the community. It has been since 1962 that there have been county councils in Trinidad and Tobago. Since then, successive governments have researched, analyzed, discussed, written papers, and consulted, and almost beaten to death the concept of local government reform. At every turn, we have heard of the benefits of a decentralized approach to governance through the mechanism of local government. And ladies and gentlemen, we have discussed reform over and over and over again. But it is this political leader and this Prime Minister who will ensure that local government reform is a reality in Trinidad and Tobago. It is clear that over the years, the pitfalls of centralized government have caused overburdened bureaucracy, difficulty in decision-making, and it is clear that you want to see something new. And that is why it is not by accident that as our tagline, we have said, local government reform, making it real. Our vision, and we have said it in our 2015 manifesto, which is now government's policy, and we have said it in our Vision 2030, is a fully operationalized and networked local government system which removes all the red tape, removes the bureaucracy. I ask you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, why should the decision as to which company picks up garbage and for how many days it should stay there not be a decision of the people of the area? Why should a decision on making minor repairs to community centers not be a decision of the people in the area? Why should a decision to undertake minor repairs in the perimeter fence of a primary school not be a decision of the people in the area? Ladies and gentlemen, our reform of local government is to make those decisions closer to you. We want to make those decisions real for you. Why should the funding of roads, minor repairs to roads in El Socorro, Never Dirty, in Picton, be dependent on releases from the Ministry of Works or the Ministry of Local Government? Why should cleaning of cemeteries not be a decision that is made by you, the people in the area? Tonight, I ask you to make that decision, to make it real, ladies and gentlemen. You and I are painfully aware that one of the biggest problems in our country now is crime and criminality. And this government takes no pleasure in the ever-increasing number of homicides and gun-related activities. But ladies and gentlemen, part of the answer to this problem lies in good old community policing, where the members of the Municipal Police Service, closely aligned with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, are more effective in patrolling the streets in the communities. With 14 municipal corporations, we have given the undertaking that in each corporation there will be 100 more police officers on the streets, 1,400 more policemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you tonight, let's make this real. Ladies and gentlemen, for us to give effect to these changes, one of the things that must be done is for you on November 28th to go out and vote solidly for the People's National Movement. I ask you tonight to not give in to any apathy. If you want to make these changes real, you have to vote solidly for the only true political party in Trinidad and Tobago, the PNM. Ladies and gentlemen, for far too many decades, for far too many years, the local government system has been a breeding ground of complaints of lack of funding, inefficiency, poor service, and there is not enough to celebrate about local government. This PNM administration, having spoken to you throughout the length and breadth of Trinidad, we believe that you know what you want, and we have listened, and we are putting things in place to ensure that what you have said becomes a reality. Our Vision 2030 has said people must be at the center of development, especially the development of their communities. Local government reform means bringing government to you, for you, and by you. Do you recall when the people who used the Eddie Hart ground stood up to the last administration and said, you cannot just come into our space and impose what you want on us without asking us a question? No consultation, not a word, and they wanted to build on the Eddie Hart ground. Those people took the last government to court and won. They won because they were not consulted. And ladies and gentlemen, our intention is to ensure that you are properly consulted before anything is done to you or about you. It is clear and important that reform will entail the development of local communities, especially in the planning process. The Vision 2030 plan requires that good governors must be at the forefront of all decision-making. And this is seen in developed and developing countries. It is a model that emphasizes self-management, enhanced community participation, and the new planning and building inspectorate that we will bring to the local government will ensure that the local government corporations are responsible for billboards, signs, all advertisements. They will also be responsible for simple planning permission for all simple developments. They will be responsible for the change of use of buildings from residential to commercial use, for simple additions to buildings, and for the subdivision of parcels of land comprising 20 lots or less. They will also be responsible for the enforcement of building codes so that complaints that you make will be dealt with immediately. It will be an exact opposite of what is taking place now, because land use is fundamentally about meeting human needs and translating those needs into actual buildings. The activities of urban, regional, and local area planning are therefore ideally suited to local government activities. What will happen in the future, ladies and gentlemen, is that through arrangements with the Ministry of Planning and Development, simple applications for dwelling units, for small buildings, for small commercial buildings will all be determined right here by you and by the Building Inspectorate. Simple applications will also no longer have to go to the Ministry of Planning and Development, to the Town and Country Planning Division. This is about good governance and the decentralization of the planning process. The local officials at the regional corporations and you know your region. You know what kind of development you want for your region. And therefore, this government has decided with you that that is the kind of change that we will bring to you, the people of these regions. Local government reform will be of no use to any of us unless we have the right legislation in place to actually get these things done. At present, the act that governs the local government corporations is the Municipal Corporations Act, and there is still interminable bureaucracy that has resulted in burgesses not always receiving the services they require. The new legislation, which will mean amendments to this act, will ensure that people are at the center of this development. There are several things that these changes will bring. Councillors and aldermen will now have a term of 4 years rather than 3 years. Councillors and aldermen will now be full-time, and they will be paid a salary rather than a stipend. The legislation will have to be amended to give local government bodies the authority to collect and retain property taxes and fines. Fines for food badges, fines for burials, fines for market dues, rental of town halls, community centers, and fines when people create nuisances like unauthorized garages and unauthorized scrapyards. A major legislative change will be the entrenchment of social service delivery as a new and key function of the regional corporations. As we see it, this is a major objective and an integral part, not only of local government reform, but of Vision 2030. It is that the social services need to be easily available to citizens right in their communities, so that food cart delivery will be devolved to the local corporations. General assistance grants for educational supplies, household supplies, house rent assistance, house repair assistance, book grants, clothing, funeral grants will be devolved to the local government corporations. So no more will Kamla's ministers be seen driving up and down with food cards in their car trunk. And I mention her ministers, but we know that she will never have another minister in Trinidad and Tobago. We will therefore have to amend the Senior Citizens Pensions Act, the Public Assistance Act, and the Disability Act. And for these grants, the corporations will only pay persons who live within their boundaries. So the grant system will be totally decentralized, and you will get your grants more quickly and more efficiently in a more timely fashion. I want to mention one other issue that has to be amended. And ladies and gentlemen, that legislation has to do specifically with the municipal police. Currently, as you are aware, the officers of the Municipal Police Service report to the CEO of the corporation, but obtain their precept from the police commissioner. This government is committed to working with all citizens who have the desire and the will to reduce crime and criminality. And we have said that there will be an increase of 100 police officers in every corporation. At present, the major complaint is that the police do not carry out the dictates of the council because they're appointed by the Public Service Commission, which also has the power to discipline and fire them. But you have suggested, and we have taken it on board in our local government reform, that since they can exercise powers similar to the national police, they should be appointed in a manner similar to the national police. And that would mean that they would come under the jurisdiction of the Police Service Commission and the Police Commission Complaints Authority. That would mean, though, a major change to the legislation, a major change to the Constitution. And that, ladies and gentlemen, demands a special majority, a 2/3 majority. And you know the type of opposition that we have. They talk one thing, but they do entirely different. And also, if we have to put the municipal police under the purview of the Police Complaints Authority, we need a 3/5 majority. But ladies and gentlemen, this administration will not be daunted. We will put the 100 police in every corporation, and we will work in ensuring that our objective of improving law enforcement and public safety becomes a reality. Those police officers will be directly involved with you on a day-to-day basis. We believe that by the introduction of those police officers so closely involved with the communities, there will be a positive impact on crime detection, on the reduction in domestic violence and juvenile delinquency. We are serious about those changes, and our objective is to ensure that that becomes a reality. The PNM, ladies and gentlemen, believes that local government is the voice of the communities. We believe, and we will ensure, that with the reform, communities will fare better. Burgesses will be more satisfied. Their needs will be more effectively and efficiently met. It is only the PNM who can make this a reality. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you tonight that this campaign still has 2 more weeks. A lot can happen in 2 weeks. We only have to recall what happened in the US election. Some analysts say that it was the silent voter who screamed in that election. We have 2 weeks to ensure that you, the voters who support the PNM, who have waited patiently for local government reform, who know that the PNM is the only party that could bring this reform to you, who know that the PNM is the only party of development in Trinidad and Tobago, having taken us from colonialism to independence, from independence to republicanism, and from republicanism we will take you to Vision 2030. And ladies and gentlemen, I ask you tonight to ensure that on November 28th, you come out in your numbers and vote solidly for the People's National Movement. And we can say with one voice that great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. And we shall prevail.
Let you realize the reform is for you and me. Reinvigorating and reinventing our local democracy.